Every April, millions of people panic. They dig through receipts, they hope for refunds, they brace for the hit. Meanwhile, some of the wealthiest people in America don't panic at all. Not because they hide money, not because they cheat, but because their income, on paper, is almost zero. Yet they're buying jets, funding startups, living in $50 million homes. So here's the real question. How do you live like a billionaire without earning a taxable income? And the answer isn't a loophole. It's a strategy hiding in plain sight. Most people think taxes are about how much you make. But for the ultra-wealthy, it's about how little they show. If you earn a salary, you're taxed immediately. Income tax, payroll tax, state tax, before the money even touches your account. But what if you could live extremely well without earning income in the traditional sense? That's where the gap begins. And it's not a loophole, it's a design feature. Quick reality check. If billionaires paid tax the way employees do, headlines would look very different. The wealthy don't optimize for salary, they optimize for ownership. Instead of chasing paychecks, they accumulate assets that grow quietly. Shares in companies, real estate, private equity, long-term investments. Here's the key. If you don't sell an asset, you don't trigger capital gains tax. Your net worth can climb for decades. And the IRS doesn't get a dime because nothing was technically realized. It's like leveling up in a video game where points don't count until you cash them in. And they simply don't cash in. Now, here's where it gets clever. Let's say someone owns $20 million in investments. Instead of selling and paying taxes, they go to a bank and say, "Here's my portfolio. Lend against it." Banks happily do this for wealthy clients. It's called asset-backed lending or securities-based credit. And here's the twist. Borrowed money isn't income. So if they borrowed $2 million, they can spend that on homes, travel, business ventures, and it's not taxable. Read that again. You get taxed for working. They don't get taxed for borrowing. Even better. If their investments grow faster than the interest rate on the loan, their wealth keeps compounding in the background. So they're living on borrowed cash while their actual fortune keeps expanding. It sounds backwards. That's because it is. Now comes the part most people never hear about. When someone passes away in the US, heirs receive assets at current market value under something called a step-up in basis, which means all the growth that happened over decades. For tax purposes, it resets. If an investor bought shares at $1 million and they're worth $10 million at death, the next generation inherits them as if they were bought at $10 million. That $9 million gain, never taxed. Heirs can sell immediately, pay off any outstanding loans, keep the rest legally, and the cycle can repeat. Pause for a second. That's how fortunes survive generations, not by earning more, but by realizing less. Now, before you think, well, I don't have $20 million. Good. Let's ground this. This strategy requires significant assets. It's not something you start with $5,000 and a dream, but the mindset shift matters. Here's what you can take away. Prioritize assets over income. Income is taxed immediately. Assets grow quietly. Understand leverage. Debt isn't always the enemy. Used strategically, it's a liquidity tool. Think long-term ownership. The wealthy build systems that outlive them. Even if you're not ultra-rich, shifting from earn and spend to acquire and compound changes everything. And no, this isn't about avoiding taxes illegally. It's about understanding how the rules actually work. Because you can't play smart if you don't know the game. The wealthy focus on appreciating assets instead of taxable income. They borrow against assets instead of selling them. When assets pass to heirs, gains often reset for tax purposes. The result? High lifestyle, low taxable income, multi-generational wealth, same system, different strategy. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, because we break down how money really moves at the top. And I'm curious, do you think this system is smart financial engineering or fundamentally unfair? Drop your take in the comments.